Dude, it was bright up here. When I was 7 years old, I found my dad dead on his bedroom floor. Now, I know what you're thinking. That might be a lot to take in, because believe me, it was a lot to see. How about this? Let me start from the very beginning. It was the summer before second grade for me in the year 2013, and it was the last year that my big brother Kyle and I were going to be at the same school. So I remember feeling super anxious and scared that I was going to be with all the bigger students and my big brother wasn't going to be there to protect me. My brother was my best friend, and I could always go to him when something was wrong. We confided in each other for everything, and I never felt guilt when I was talking to him. At the time of my father's death, my brother and I actually found him together upstairs in the bedroom, and ever since then, I felt like my brother and I have sort of shared some of our trauma. To this day, my brother and I don't really talk much about our trauma. I think it's something that we feel is awkward. But now, more than ever, standing up here, I think that I understand truly what this trauma did to me. Losing my dad at such a young age has forced me to grow up much faster than I would have liked. And it took a part of my childhood that I'm never going to be able to get back. The reason I'm telling you all of this is because it forces me to confront my grief and move along within my grieving process. Grief in general is a really uncomfortable topic for everyone involved. It's the one thing that nobody really ever wants to talk about. And if I could see you guys, I can tell that it's probably hard for some of you to process that, and that's okay. In recent years, I've been able to switch my attitude and mindset towards my father's death from a more negative light to a more positive and retrospective light. Grief took a lot of things away from me. It stripped me of my innocence and, most importantly, my dad. My dad was everything to me. I remember at our old house in Rockland, my dad would tickle us in our living room, and he would make the most disgusting tuna and grape jelly sandwiches. How many of you would eat that? Like wet, slimy tuna and like grape jelly. It was so gross. My dad was friends with everyone, even the people that he really didn't like. And he would never fail to light up the room with his infectious smile. I'd like to think that in some ways I'm a lot like my dad, besides making those disgusting grape jelly and tuna sandwiches. Grief also made me resent those around me for having what I longed for, a father. It deeply affected me when I would see people from my school going to the daddy-daughter dances and just knowing that I couldn't go. Grief not only made me feel alienated, but it made me feel alone. I felt like I couldn't even talk to those that were close to me. I couldn't even talk to my own brother anymore. I bargained and truly believed that my dad's death was my fault. How was it that a 7-year-old little girl was blaming herself for her father's death? I was angry that I couldn't save him that day, but now I'm just angry that I blame myself. I had absolutely no reason to, and because I romanticized these parts of my grief, I started blaming myself. And things only got worse. I developed OCD by the age of 10, and I could barely get up most mornings. I would stay up at all hours of the night, thinking that if I didn't give in to these compulsions, that my whole family would die. I just didn't want to lose anybody else. I hit my breaking point when one night I had a vision of my dad in the hallway. And he was looking at me and he didn't say anything. I knew that I couldn't live like this anymore. I couldn't not talk about my trauma because, to be completely honest, it was slowly killing me. After I reached my breaking point, I started to go to therapy and taking medication for my OCD, which helped tremendously. I was finally doing good, and even though I was still grieving, I was living around that grief. I once heard this quote that went something like, "Your grief doesn't shrink, your life just grows around that grief." From when I was a 7-year-old little girl to now, my life has been nothing but a journey of acceptance and healing. And I've learned that grief can be a long, hard battle with yourself that truly feels like it's never going to end, but I promise you that it will. There's always a reason to keep going, and processing your grief will ultimately make you into the person that you are today, the best possible version that you can be for yourself and for others. Sometimes all you can do is just take each day one step at a time. Like Rachel said, even 1 minute at a time, 1 second at a time, whatever you think is necessary. Grief and healing is not linear by any means whatsoever. All we have to do is look for the small things in life, like watching a sunset with those that you love, or ordering a really big cheeseburger that can't fit into your mouth fully. Or once again, making those disgusting grape jelly and tuna sandwiches. As long as we keep on going and we keep pushing forward, we will get through our journeys of grief. I'm thankful for my journey of grief as it has made me into the person that I am today. I am able to stand here today and talk about my trauma and my grief in order to show you all that you are not the bad things that happen to you. Your lives are worth so much more than your grief. We will get past whatever is eating alive at us, and all of our lives will benefit from it for the better. Thank you.